These lenses are nearly 40 years old, and they were given to me by my dad along with his film photography equipment, and I just haven't done film photography recently. It's just really expensive. I've also wanted to expand the amount of lenses that I'm using on my S5, but I just don't have the budget to buy the full set of primes or a new zoom lens for it. So I figured why not try and adapt these onto the Lumix S5 and see what the results would look like. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. So you're probably wondering, what the hell even are these lenses? Well, these are Minolta Maxxum autofocus lenses, and these were made back in 1985, so again, nearly 40 years ago, by a company called Minolta. So Minolta went out of business back in 2003, that's why we don't see any new cameras coming out.
Okay, so slight revision to what I said. Rather than Minolta going out of business, they were bought by Konica. They actually did a merger, so it was Minolta Konica, and then they decided not to make cameras anymore. So rather than really fully going out of business, there was a merger, and then they said, we're pulling out of the camera market. So, correction on my end, but let's get back to the video.
From them, but Sony picked up the lens mount, so it's actually known as a Sony A mount, and you can actually buy adapters for Sony A mount to L mount to RF mount, and then also for Sony E mount. And actually for Sony A mount to E mount adapters, there is one that has autofocus, the rest are manual focus. The adapter I bought to connect to the Lumix is one from Earth, URTH. And again, it's a manual focus lens, but you do have control over the aperture with the little aperture ring here, which is really exciting. So I have the 28 to 85 millimeter f3.5 to 4.5 here, and then also the 70 to 210 f4 lens. And so this gives me a nice scope of focal lengths that I can add to the Lumix S5 outside of the 50 millimeter and 35 millimeter prime lenses. And I want to show you some examples that I got the other day. So let's check them out. So here are a few test shots I got at a local park the other day, and I'm going to let them speak for themselves, but I really love the look coming out of these lenses. It's sharp, but not too sharp. It's got a little bit of character to it, maybe a little bit of halation, but not too much where it's overbearing, like some vintage lenses may show. And the bokeh, it looks natural, it looks clean, it looks smooth. It's not too crazy like the Helios 422, which that lens does have amazing looking bokeh, and it's great for specific circumstances, but I feel like these can be used in a more general sense. I just really love the out of focus elements on this, and again, I think the sharpness of it, I think it's sharp enough. It doesn't have to be overly sharp like some contemporary lenses, so I really enjoy the look coming out of both the 28 to 85 and 70 to 210. I also did a test on focus breathing, mostly because, again, I work in video. Focus breathing is kind of a big issue with a lot of contemporary zoom lenses, so I was just really curious to see how these lenses would hold up, especially being made 40 years ago. On the 70 to 210, it's not great. It's pretty bad. I would really only recommend using this lens if your subject is going to be still and your tripod is going to be mounted. Anything outside of that, it's probably better used as a photography lens, to be honest, but you could use it for video in certain situations, again, where your camera's locked down and your subject is still. The lens that did surprise me was this 28 to 85. I'll let the example speak for itself, but this thing practically has no focus breathing at all. I might even say it's better than the Sigma 18 to 35, which is known to have very minimal focus breathing. So for a 40-year-old lens designed for film photography to have this level of focus breathing, I was really impressed, and I would definitely be comfortable using this as a video lens if it wasn't for two issues when it comes to focusing. So the two issues that I have manual focusing on one of these lenses, well, one, I don't know if you can see it, I may have to do an insert shot, but the focus ring on these lenses is really narrow. Like, I'm talking really narrow. Like, you are also gripping part of the camera and the focus ring at the same time when you're trying to manual focus, and that added friction could really inhibit your manual focusing capabilities. So that's annoying. If there's a way to expand the focus ring out so I can add like gear teeth to it for a follow focus system, that would be incredible. If anyone knows of a way to do that, please let me know. I would be greatly appreciative of that. But that's just one of my gripes, definitely worth noting if this is a lens you're interested in. Another one would be, I don't know if you can hear it, but the focus throw on this is really narrow, like I think even more narrow than some contemporary lenses today. I could be wrong, but it feels like it to me, so I do worry about overcompensating or undercompensating for manual focus with the level of focus throw on this. I mean, of course, compared to, like, let's say cinema glass where the focus throw is gigantic, this just feels really narrow. So if you are manual focusing, I would be very careful. The last little thing I wanted to touch on with this video was the low light capability of these lenses. Again, these are f3.5 to f4.5 for the 28-85 and f4 for the 70-210. So definitely not designed to be low light lenses, but if you're able to stage a scene enough, like what I did in these shots right here, where I had a practical lamp shining on me, but then also I accentuated that light as a key using 100 watt light bouncing into the wall at 50% power. I think you can definitely make them work in staged low lit scenarios. I think that's where these lenses really shine. Definitely not going out and about using natural light from, let's say, like a city or something like that. You might be able to use them. Didn't really test them out to that extent, but under stage conditions, using your own lights, I think you can definitely use these in lower lit situations. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. I wanted to give it a test. So there you go. I hope you all enjoyed my little experimentation with these Minolta Maxxum lenses. I had a lot of fun working with them, especially since these were my dad's initially. There's a little bit of sentimental value to it, but I really do look forward to experimenting with them more, especially making like a short film with them at some point, so stay tuned for that, maybe. But yeah, no, I would very much recommend people check out, especially this 28-85. I think if you're looking for a cheap alternative, you don't mind manual focusing, you know, getting this lens for like 50 bucks plus an adapter that's like 65 bucks is a really cheap alternative. It has a lot of value from it between the focus breathing. There's even a macro mode on here, all the different focal lengths. So check this out if you're interested. I definitely look forward to working with this one a little bit more on the Lumix. But stay tuned for more content coming soon. Definitely will have more coming out in 2024. I promise that. So keep creating, keep having fun. I'll see you all soon.